Hey.
Oh. Welcome to our webinar. Thank you all for joining. We'll be waiting a few minutes for everybody to get admitted into the room, and then we're gonna start shortly to speak on the subject. Thank you for joining. A few minutes.
Can we crack a few jokes, Claudia? For
Yes,
example,
you
who's from the UK? Because the UK people are not going to join. Obviously, they're at the beach. Something along those lines. So everyone joining in from the UK, we doubly appreciate you for sitting in a very warm weather inside. We super appreciate it.
Okay, we have people joining.
Yeah, the numbers are going up super nice.
Let's wait for 2-3 minutes for everybody to have a look from the beginning. I just want to let you know, and I'm gonna repeat this during the webinar, the chat is not available, but the Q&A is. And we ask all of you that have any questions regarding the company, the solutions, or other type of questions regarding travel technology to just write them in the section below in the Q&A. And yeah,
we promise to answer everyone to our best of abilities, and I don't know, challenge us. So whatever you have on your mind, if you feel that it will bring value to the panelists and to other people joining in, if you have a question about mapping, about fees, about how the guys do it, about travel technology in general, about trends, share it with the group. We would super appreciate it. There are no bad questions. It's just we definitely can help each other out, and since everyone is taking a bit of time on Wednesday, we thank you for it, and please share your thoughts when the Q&A session starts.
So yeah, don't be shy. Just ask us. This is one of a few opportunities where you can have all these people gathered to answer you directly.
Plus, there are no more fairs actually, because the summer started quite strong for some of our friends in the UK. Summers have started, so there are no more fairs up until I think World Travel Market somehow. So it's a good time to interact with people in the travel trade. Numbers are going up, so thanks everyone for joining in.
Like we are on bingo when we call out bingo.
Perfect.
I don't know. You have to state the number.
Yeah, 1 more minute or 2, and then we can start for sure. It's gonna
I think we got the okay. We got the okay to start, I think.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So thank you all for joining. We won't keep you too long here. I'm here with my colleague Radu, who's the commercial director for Wbe.Travel, with Marvel Puri, who's the co-founder and chief revenue officer at Vervotech, and Vinod Singh, who's handling the commercial part for Vervotech in the Middle East. We've all gathered here to talk a little bit about what solutions are available to help travel companies reshape their booking experience and grow their overall business. Everybody has seen the trend of revenge travel. We all know that numbers are going up, but still there are some sectors in the travel industry that are growing better than the others. So for us, it's been a business for quite a while to work with travel companies to help them improve their business. And this is why we have some more insights than other travel companies do, because we are on the back side of technology, watching how it evolves. So first, I'm going to briefly introduce you of what we're going to do today. We're going to have a short company presentation to let you know what exactly it is that we are doing. Then we're going to go straight into the topic and talk about the existing solutions that can work in your favor. Then we're going to have a special surprise for you. So stay tuned here because we're going to give out a bonus for all attendees of the webinar. And we're going to end the session with a Q&A discussion. So all the questions that you might have during the webinar, please write them down in the section Q&A. As long as you write, we have the questions, we have the answers for you. So don't be shy, write as many questions as you might have from travel technology, travel industry, mapping, platforms, and so on. So thank you all for joining again. I would like to pass the microphone to Radu to tell us a little bit about Wbe.Travel, what we do, and how it's beneficial to travel companies. So can you please share? Okay, thank you.
Hopefully you can see my screen. Thanks, Claudia. I will try to make it as engaging as possible regarding a company presentation and keep it very short. Okay. First of all, thanks for everyone for joining in. I know it's super warm. I know it's the middle of the summer, so we genuinely appreciate it, both us and the Vervotech team. I will not try to speed through all of this, but I will try to just focus on what I feel can bring you value. Okay. First of all, this is the intro screen. This is me, a very brief info on me. I've been doing this for the past 14 years. Actually, Wbe.Travel started when I joined the company. So I co-founded this brand inside our mother company, which is Direct Vision. So for me, representing WB and talking about WB comes natural because I've been doing this for the past 14 years. So this is why I said I can put it out there. Any question that you have regarding travel tech or about our solution in general, I'm pretty confident I can answer. Now, besides the numbers that everyone is going to read off the screen, I just want to mention that we are now handling about 500,000 bookings per year, which for us is a rather decent amount, especially after COVID. And we have seen a very nice surge in bookings in 2022. And we are not alone. But what these numbers don't show you is what I'm going to discuss in the next couple of minutes. The fact that travel agents in general have not come back as in the best manner, like let's say the normal OTAs have come back. And in this case, I hope that with this webinar we can help you make more business and have reduced costs with your current tech stack. This is a bit about us. Actually, funny enough, before the pandemic, although we invested a few tens of millions of euros in our platform, before the pandemic, we were selling what we call licenses. So everyone was buying a license to use our software. When the pandemic hit, we saw that customers initially became very resilient to spending money, obviously. So they were resilient to spending money. So we had to launch something that made sense for the new travel agency, the travel agency that has reduced staff, and the travel agency that doesn't want to spend 5 or 6 figures a year into technology. And we launched what we call software as a service. And this is a fancy term that actually means one thing. You have one huge server farm sitting on Microsoft Azure, which we are handling, and you are using distributed resources. This means that whenever we do a hotel beds update or an Expedia update or a Amadeus update, it applies to all the customers. So you're getting all the benefits of our work without spending a huge amount of money. So you pay as you grow or you pay as you use. This is the most modern way that IT is being deployed right now. And we jumped on this trend and it's working out quite nice, to be honest, for us. And we have customers all across the globe. In here, we used to have actually 2 more offices. We had one in Dubai, in the UAE, and one in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh. Unfortunately, when the pandemic started, the foot traffic in our offices went to 0. And after a couple of months of nothing happening and the pandemic prolonging, we decided to close them. Right now, we are still keeping the headquarters in the HQ is in Bucharest, in Romania. This is where we keep all the designers, all the programmers, where all the brains are. And we have another office, a newer one, opened last year in Las Vegas, because we started to get a lot of customers in the North American markets. To be honest, we are very present in Asia. We have customers in Malaysia, in Thailand, in Pakistan, in India. We're also very present in, someone has a very powerful car. We're also very present in the Middle East, where we had the offices. So we power up brands in Saudi Arabia, in the UAE, in Kuwait, in Qatar, in you name it, in Egypt, in Lebanon, in Iraq, everywhere in the Middle East we are present. We also, because we're in Eastern Europe, we power up a lot of brands in the Balkan region, in Bucharest, in Romania, in Poland, in the Czech Republic, in Italy, in Greece. So we are in Albania. We're present all around this region, and of course we have brands in the UK as well. And we started to see customers appear, let's say, on the forefront from North America, and we are present with customers in Florida and in Las Vegas. This is why we also have the office there. And enough about that. Now, just to give you an idea about what customers could benefit from our solutions, in general, we call them travel wholesalers. But because people maybe don't understand, don't know exactly what a travel wholesaler does, I will use the biggest customer names that we have. One of them is called Wbe.Travel, part of the Webeds group, and another one is Total Stay, also part of the Webeds group. So when we call them a travel wholesaler, they are huge companies that sell a lot via XML, either via login on their own platforms powered by us, or via XML out. This is what we call travel wholesalers. We also power up DMCs in Italy, in Albania, in Dubai, DMC companies that have their own inventory, and online travel agencies. Literally, we power up travel agents in Thailand that have 200 staff, and they do their own travel agency work using our mid office. And TMCs in Poland, some of the largest companies in Poland handling corporate travel, are using our solutions. And one very small item, which is rather important for us, we feel that any sort of website right now cannot compete with the big OTAs. So when we call a niche travel site, either we call it any sort of site that caters to a particular niche. This is where we feel that OTAs have to be. And we are powering up a couple of niche travel sites that are doing extraordinarily well, both in the gifts solution space or in very particular travel, which I can dive into more detail later in the Q&A session. And this is the last part. We have a very simple structure. You buy on the left, so you buy any travel inventory from the likes of Amadeus, Galileo, Worldspan, Mystifly, Travel Fusion, or the typical suppliers for which we are a premium partner, like Hotelbeds, like Webbeds, like, I don't know, Destination of the World, Expedia. You buy on the left, you manage in the middle. This means that you actually get to manage all of your invoices, all of your bookings in the middle, in our mid-office software. This is why it's in the middle. And then you sell on the right. And you can sell either with an in-house solution, only for your own company. You can sell with a B2B for travel agents, a corporate platform, or a B2C, an online travel agency. And that's it. I will pass the virtual baton to my colleague Claudia to introduce also Marvel and his team. Thank you.
Thank you, Radu. Thank you for the time. I just want to pass it on to Vinod, who has a great deal of experience in the travel tech sector. And he has some slides for us about Vervotech, explaining exactly what's the company focus, how do they do, and so on. So Vinod, can you please share some information with us about Vervo?
Absolutely. Thanks, Claudia, for giving us the opportunity. And I would like to thank WB, Radu, in general, because we had a good partnership with them. And I come from the travel tech background, so I know WB as a brand, it's a good tech house to work with. So I would just start brief about Vervotech as an IT house. So we started off in 2014 with the vision in mind to standardize the global accommodation data. Okay, so we are more of a data-driven company. I mean, mapping is the outcome of it. And that's the whole idea, to standardize the entire accommodation data, not including the hotels, but non-hotel accommodation at the same time. And since 2014, we have acquired about 150 customers globally. We have customer base in US, India, Middle East, Asian market, just to brief. Okay. All right, so who would be needing our technology solutions? So our mapping solution is channel agnostic, irrespective of if you're selling in your own point of sale, in-house selling staff that you would have, or you have an OTA or running a DMC business, or you are running a B2B business. So irrespective of your selling channel, you can use our mapping solution, mapping data in any of your sales channel. And any of the travel agencies or the wholesalers or DMCs, as Radu explained earlier, can use us as the mapping data for their in-house mapping, buying from multiple hotel suppliers, XML suppliers, for example, or even if they have their own direct contract. So anyone who's using the hotel booking engine, buying from multiple XML suppliers, be it their own contract or buying from third party, they would need mapping solutions. Okay. In terms of the product offering, so our broad product categories are divided into three. So for the first one is the hotel mapping that we offer, wherein you would not see any duplication of the hotels during the hotel search result. And we also have aggregated the curated content for 3 million unique hotel properties globally, which includes the hotel accommodation and non-hotel accommodations like apartments, Airbnbs, motels. These all alternate accommodations are also available with us at the hotel level mapping. Room mapping is purely a dynamic product that we do, because till date, there are majority of the suppliers who will not give you a steady content for the room level. So we run it through on the fly. So if you select a particular property, you get all the rates from the respective suppliers. We pass on those rates through our algorithm and create a room grouping and the rate matching. I mean, that's broadly how we do it. I mean, we can connect later at the later stage for more detailed, in-depth understanding of the product. And the third one that we offer is the curated content. The 3 million unique data count that we have is what we have also available at the hotel level for you to be used for the distribution, wherein you would have a better quality images, correctness of the content, completeness of the content. Those are some of the advantages that you would get through our curated content. Okay, moving forward. So these are some of the USPs of working with Vervotech solutions. So we are already connected to almost 400 suppliers on the platform, and we keep on downloading the content from these 400 suppliers on the frequent basis. And so our database from these XML suppliers are always up to date. You would be sitting on the latest data down from the suppliers. In terms of the support, we have 24/7 support. You can give us a call or drop us an email or raise a ticket into our ticketing platform. We have an intuitive dashboard that is one of the winning edge, wherein you can see which all supplier that you're working with, what is the percentage of the content that is mapped in our platform, what all content is coming from the supplier. So all those transparency or the visibility you get through our dashboard. In terms of the coverage, as I mentioned, we have 3 million properties, unique data count across the globe that you would have access through our platform. Integrating with the API, it's a pretty straightforward API. It takes about maybe a couple of weeks or 3 weeks time max to integrate with our API platform, wherein you can automate the entire process. Service level agreement, be it an existing supplier from our existing 400 list of suppliers that you're connected with, or be it a new supplier. We have a service level agreement. We'll make it live within 96 hours or 3 working days of getting integrated on the platform, or if you can provide us with the data down. All right. So yeah, I mean, this was the brief about Vervotech and the products and what we do. So I'll hand over mic back to Claudia to take the discussion forward. All right. Thank you, guys. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Vinod. I'm gonna go back there. I am seeing that we already started to get questions. I advise all of you to ask whatever unclarities you have or whatever questions you have regarding travel technology. This is the time to do it. And I want to go deeper into the discussion and straight to the topic of why we are here. So I'm passing the virtual microphone to Marvel. So you can unmute yourself, please. And please tell us a little bit of what are the practical solutions with using mapping to solve the problems now and improve the rebooking quality for the booking quality and the experience for travel agents and the travelers.
Thanks, Claudia. Thanks, Radu. Thank you, all the attendees, for joining in. It would take a long time to answer that question, but what I would like to achieve today with our audience is talk about what we see are some learnings as we look at data that is coming from multiple sources, see what the customer experience, how the customer behavior is changing, why it's changing, and what can you do as a travel business to address this, and how can we be instrumental in helping you achieve that? So what we observed is, and this is no foreign knowledge to all attendees here, that 80% of customers are dropping or switching brands because of poor experience. 8%, 8 out of 10 visitors are abandoning the website because they're not able to get the information they're looking at. 90% of customers are saying there's lack of information, incorrect images, etc., etc. And this is the drop ratio of these customers has significantly increased in the recent times. And why is that happening is because today customer is aware about their needs. They know what they want to buy. The behavior is completely changed. We're all travel trade, participants here. Everybody's from the trade. We all know if you're attending an event, we're going to book our event first, and then we go after looking for hotels. And similarly for travelers, they know what they want to do. If they're visiting, if they're going for an activity, they're going to book the activity first, and then they go about booking their hotels. So that's the inversion that we've seen in the booking patterns. And it goes back to what Radu was saying earlier, servicing some niche business models, travel audience. And as a travel business, it's imperative that you address those needs, because today's traveler is a different traveler. They need a lot of information. Now, what are we doing to, how can you do that? I will talk about that. And I also take an example of some popular websites, how they've smartly done it. So what can you do using our services, or in general, what practices should you do to be able to not have the problem of customer abandoning your website or not completing the booking, or have more stickiness on your website, on your point of sales, is the following. You should obviously have the right and accurate content that is available. Now, obviously, to be able to show the right and accurate content, you need to have access to that content. That's number one. You need to have more and more information about that property. What has happened conventionally, that all the data that you've been, or travel agencies, I would say all the data that travel agencies show today is heavily dependent on what comes from a supplier or a B supplier, right? So your data basically means is as good as the data that you have access to. Now, as a travel business, because content is something which is critical, you need to continue to invest in areas where you can enrich your data, bring more stickiness onto on your purchase page. So the idea here is that we reduce the shopping time for the customer. We get the customer, once they're on the website, to book as soon as possible. And there are some interesting things you can do about it. But I'm just going to go ahead and open a website, let's say booking.com, and talk about when I said our customer is smart, going back here, and they're using some smart filters. How can you embed those smart filters in your search experiences, and how can we help you? So back on to booking.com, I'm going to do some random searches. So here we've got Dubai, and I'm doing a search here. Of course. So what we're seeing here is we see that we have 3,834 properties. Now, obviously, for a travel business working in a multi-supplier environment, you may not have 3,800 properties, but you would still have 1,000 or 2,000 properties, which is again a lot of content. Now, obviously, Radu always says that you don't need everything in the world to sell, but what is important is you still need to cover more ground. So working with multi-supplier is imperative. It's very important for distribution. So you definitely need to have a multi-supplier environment, but that brings their own challenges and benefits. But what I want to see is today's traveler, what they want to do is, all right, I'm traveling to Dubai. Now I'm traveling to Dubai with my family. So the first thing I'm going to do is, what you see here are the facilities, which I was referring to as smart filters right here. So it may be, all right, I'm going with my family. I want a non-smoking room. My search is now crisp to almost to 50%. All right, well, I'm going with my family. How about I should have a swimming pool with my kids? I narrow it down. I'm probably going to be working as well. I need some Wi-Fi. Doing these smart filters, you're really bringing your customer to make a decision. So, all right, I need room service. So you can imagine where I had 3,000 properties to search from, I have 564. And that's now it's a decision that I want to make. If I want to further drill down some smart filters, now I have a decision to make. Instead of having to, access to so many properties, this is where I'm going to focus. And this will improve your overall conversion of your customers that are coming into your website. With that note, that's all I wanted to talk about today on our benefits of what we have to offer. And I'll pass it down to Claudia to take it from here.
Okay, thank you, Marvel. I know that your business is way more than this, but we don't have the time to speak about all of it today. So I'm just gonna quickly introduce back again Radu to share some insights from WB on what solution works and will work continuously from now on, because the trends have shifted, the pandemic hits, the business have changed, and solutions need to adapt as well. So Radu, can you please tell us a little bit of what are the challenges and what solutions do we offer?
Thanks, Claudia. Thanks, Marvel, for the insights. What I would like to focus on, I would like to give you some real life examples of how people are using technology, and I think this makes the most sense. I mean, you will see the presentation is just a support, but I would like to tell you a story about a real life company based in Greece and how they approached working with technology and how they embraced actually using technology. So I'll be telling the story in the next couple of slides. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, just a small intro slide. What we have seen, and this is what I discussed in the first part of the presentation, a lot of travel companies are not at the level where the OTAs are. So while everyone felt the dip, the OTAs, some of them are below, some of them are above the 2019 levels, but a lot of the travel agencies are below. And I'm sure that everyone is feeling that. And I want to bring a bit of a different perspective in regards to that. I wrote here, post-COVID, you need automation. Before it was optional. Why do I want to say that? And here is where I want to start giving you an example of a company based in Greece. Before, about 10, 15 years ago, we had customers even back then, but it was super normal for them to have their own mapping department. There were 6 to 10 ladies. I don't know, because probably ladies are more efficient with numbers and they're more careful in details. But they had 6 to 10 people working in the mapping department. And our customer, this company based in Greece, who was doing a very reasonable, quite serious amount of revenue, more than 300 million euro revenue per year, total turnover value. This company had built their own hotel mapping, their own room mapping, their own internet booking engine, and their own ERP. So you can imagine these guys had the money and the expertise to hire a lot of programmers and do all the work. Why was this happening? Before, it was more predominant. You couldn't find everything out of the box, and it was more predominant for people to build their own technology. This is in the olden days. COVID hit, and right now, I don't think it makes any sense to try to fight companies and try to compete with companies that exist like Vervotech. If you need a specialist for mapping, you wouldn't ever have the chance of beating their solution because you don't have the money, the time, the expertise to invest in your own tech. And here I wrote a couple of ideas. Before, there were no off-the-shelf solutions, correct? Before, nobody understood your geography, so you couldn't buy geography. You couldn't buy this type of service. It was not possible. And everyone was building their own technology. So it was it was like a badge of honor. Everyone was building their own technology and they felt, I'm proud, I have my own system. But this came with humongous IT costs and not, some companies justified it, but right now there's no more justifying it. It's impossible. And here I wrote a couple of takeaways in regards to, are you trying to launch a B2B or a TMC, a B2B for travel agents, and a TMC for corporate companies? This is what we mean. Here I wrote something that maybe a lot of people will know, but maybe some of the people who are very special and who are very specialized will feel, no, there are still destination specialists. If we compare the broad numbers, before, a travel agency used to have one person handling Turkey, one person in handling Greece, one person in handling Italy, and they are the destination specialists. Right now, because the staff numbers are down, for what we just discussed initially, everyone needs to handle everything. And as Marvel correctly pointed out, in a multi-supplier environment where you have the likes of TBO, Go Global, RateHawk, World to Meet, Everyone is a multi-supplier hub. And when you're using a platform like WBE to aggregate all of these suppliers in one place, without the help of mapping, it's going to be a tremendous amount of work. And you can no longer rely on the old professionals that knew exactly what to search for. You need mapping to have less results, more correctly curated results, and better facilities. Because what a lot of people don't know, I know it comes second nature to Marvel and Vinod, but a lot of the suppliers, they don't have any standard when you talk about facilities. This means that you can have 10, 20, 50,000 facilities if you have a large number of suppliers. So you need a mapping company to sort through and to give you the free Wi-Fi filter that Marvel clicked on the screen. You need that Wi-Fi filter to work across all of your suppliers, because every supplier names it differently because they are using multiple sources as well. Just to give you like an idea from their part of the world. Are you planning to launch an open or closed? What do we mean by a closed B2C? You're not opening it to close it, but a closed B2C is a membership only. In North America, where we are working more and more, there is this trend moving into closed B2Cs or CUG, a closed user group. Basically, it's a B2C where you have to log in. And why do companies want to launch something like that? Powered by us, they want to launch it because it will not breach price parity. So if you want to launch an open B2C and try to go in a niche, or if you want to launch a closed B2C, which has more broader inventory but doesn't breach price parity, you might be in this scenario. What you're going to bump into? OTAs are setting a quality standard. In reality, all of our customers, and this is something that will exist and has been existing and is just happening more. All of our customers are trying to use B2B suppliers and launch B2Cs. The problem is that B2B suppliers have extraordinarily good pricing, and all the suppliers I mentioned before, they're very good in pricing, but in reality, they lack data quality. And this is where you need a company like Vervo. If you don't have the correct pictures, if you don't have the correct location even, if you don't have the correct facilities, everything is going to suffer. And what do I mean it's going to suffer? You will have less quality, which equals less trust, which equals cart abandonment. And Marvel put a very, very simple number. 8 out of 10 people abandon the transactions. You don't need more than that. You need quality to not have 8 out of 10 people that you reach with marketing abandoning your website. Here is the last portion of the talk. We talked about, we did a bit of benchmarking, and I want to start head first. We rely on Vervotech for hotel and room mapping because these are the basis for a project and the basis for you being able to sell either in a B2B or a corporate or a niche travel site. And what we wanted to mention is that we do our own destination mapping. So right now you can come to the tech platform, us included, and you can take the destination tree that we have, and we have been working on it for the past 14 years. We have the capability to give people the chance to log in and let's say do their own geo3, but we have seen that people are defaulting to ours. And the last slide will show you the results of our internal study where we benchmarked our own destinations, because you have to think as a pyramid. The destination is the top. I know every one of you has seen some tech platform where you have searched for Paris, for London, for Dubai, for whatever, the Maldives, and you have seen 20 Dubais, 20 Parises. Obviously, there are not 20 Parises, but this is why you need a very clean geo3, and this is what we handle. And a lot of companies are failing step number one. So step number one, you need the correct destination. Step number two is the hotel mapping, and step number three is the hotel mapping and the filters. And here you can read the information of the screen. What we wanted to end up on is that although some companies are bragging about their mapping, in reality, when you start checking literal hotel numbers per destination, we are about 10 to 28% more hotels for the top 500 destinations. So the top 500 sellers, which generate about 90% of the bookings for our customers, we do about 10 to 28%. We show 10 to 28% more hotels there with the help of our solution. Now I want to pass the baton to Claudia as well, because in reality, this is my last slide, because I feel this slide shows why you are losing money by not having mapping, and how you can make more money with mapping. Mapping helps you have more product and more curated product, no matter the website. I will pass the mic to the mapping specialists, because Marvel has something super nice in store for you. Thank you.
Yes. So I know that Marvel has some few more insights regarding mapping, and he actually has some demonstration on how it works, because we actually want to make clear that Vervotech is a transparent company and gives you the possibility to control all the actions. And please, Marvel, share with us.
Thanks a lot. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. Right. So one of the things that we believe, I mean, thank you again, everybody, for listening. We've been in this webinar for 35 minutes. It takes a lot of patience in today's world to sit at a place for 35 minutes. And I'm obliged. Thank you very much. What I do want to say is, as a company, we started building this almost 4 years ago. We have some very big logos that we work with. These are some of them, of course. I've tried to get few from every market. So you could see Rakuten, Adonis, Rehalat. It's a mix of suppliers, consolidators, wholesalers, B2B platforms, OTAs, etc. Clearly, because as you know, WB also offers plethora of business models that you can deploy. Likewise, our mapping today sits in OTAs, B2B, DMCs, consolidators, tour operators. Anybody who's in a multi-supplier environment can integrate our services and use them. So these are some clients that we have, which basically shows what kind of logos that we work with. The other thing that Claudia mentioned, that we're very transparent. We think that any service that you're subscribing to, it could be mapping, hotel mapping, room mapping, or booking engine, or any services in your normal life, there should be a lot of visibility, transparency embedded. So with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a quick dive into our platform. So every subscriber that we enroll on Vervotech platform gets a login to this platform, where you're able to see what's your content looking like, what health is your content in, and what can you do about it, what's coming in, what's going out. So there's complete visibility on the content that you get. So I'm just going to quickly log in here and show you. Perfect. So this is, of course, on a platform level. For every customer, we configure in respect to the access that the customer has within the suppliers. So let's say this customer is working with 430 suppliers, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, there's a bunch of things that we can talk about. I'm going to show some very peculiar things. So when you talk about transparency, I'm just going to pick a random hotel. So looking at a Swiss hotel, Singapore sells a lot, an important property. Here you go. So what I'm doing is I'm clicking on this property, which is available to me from suppliers as a customer, and I'm seeing what's coming in. This is what's coming in. You could see, and so much so, I can go and click on every supplier that I have access to and what content I'm getting. So here we go. So we already see a lot of, I would say, distortion in the content. So we have supplier calling this in capital letters. We have supplier calling it as SG Clean certified. I mean, there's a lot of discrepancy. We have suppliers calling it 4-star. Somebody's calling it 0-star. Somebody's calling it 5-star. So this inconsistencies obviously creates a lot of bad user experience that you may incur. But let's go and see what kind of content any supplier is giving. So let's say Radu mentioned RateHawk. I'm a big fan. I think they have great content. So I'm going to look at how RateHawk content looks like for this particular hotel. There you go. And all of this is available to you on your fingertips as access. So what we can see is great. I've got RateHawk, gives me a great description, has a lot of facilities. I can use Vervotech to narrow them down, deploy my smart filters. They give me amazing room content right here. I'm getting check-in, check-out policies. I'm even getting fees that are charged the hotel. Now, this information, in my opinion, is gold. This is what can drive a great customer experience, help you deploy the right filters, try not get your customers to stick and make bookings on your platform. Now, of course, you all can reach out to us for an extensive demo, but on today's call, on today's webinar, I wanted to keep it just very light to show you what we have. And with that, I also want to offer here our services at a discount. So as a part of the webinar that we were working, and we wanted to keep it a surprise, and hence we did not announce it before, as a partnership with WBE, we are excited to bring customers on board. And the following is the offer. We are giving away 3 months of free subscription with the sign up that happens within 30 days from today. So that's an option that you have. I won't spend too much time here. And yes, the floor is open. Claudia, over to you. You can take over the microphone.
Yeah, we'll talk more about the price, the bonus price. Thank
Sure.
you, Marvel. The platform looks absolutely amazing, and the user experience seems to be as good as it looks. So, as I've asked you from the beginning to tell us your questions, we've received several of them. So the first question is to Vervotech, maybe Marvel or Vinod, whoever wants to step in, but I think Marvel. Can you please give us a detailed information regarding companies in Albania that are collaborating with Vervotech? In which industry sector they are involved? And if you have some numbers on how they did after the collaboration with you, how it impacted their business, revenue, and booking-wise.
Sure. So
Claudia, because I mentioned Albania, I could answer that. Marco,
Sure.
do you want to answer it?
No, go ahead. I was just going to say that I personally we personally don't have a customer in Albania. We may have some agents that are in Albania and they're using our content through there, because so for example, WebBeds is using us. So there are customers that are using them, and so they could be indirect customers using our content, but I don't have direct information. So I'll let Radu answer that.
We do have customers in Albania, so yeah, Radu can tell us more.
Yeah, basically because I was just in a trip there. Sorry, because I was just in a trip in Albania, I can tell you that what I know about the market is that everyone is extraordinarily curious about any solution in the market that can help out. And in general, the Albanian market, because it's small, imagine a country which is literally 2.4 million people, so it's literally the size of Bucharest. Everyone is curious about what companies are doing there to do one up versus one another. So if the gentleman wants any sort of information about what I privately know about what companies are doing in Albania, because it's not related, because it's somehow special and specific to WB consultancy as a package, I would like to answer it privately, and I can share my insights, but the insights are not are somehow indicative of what WB technology does, and I can help out with let's say Albanian travel trends, or with anything related to where I feel the Albanian market is going, with the top payment gateways in the country, with the top ERP solutions in the country. So I have, because we as a company are present there for the past 7 years, we do have a very quaint understanding. But as Marvel said, it doesn't fall into their bracket, so we'll prefer to do. You can email me at radu@wbe.travel, and I can do a private call if that's okay with you.
And then we have a question from an anonymous attendee. Are you positioning yourself as a competitor of Jayata? Vinod, can you tell us what you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Claudia, for the question. Yes, I mean, just to answer the question, yes, Jayata does what we are offering as well. They are also into the mapping solutions, and probably they were the first mover in the industry. But we've been a new kid on the block. We have the latest technology in place. We do have 24/7 customer support. In terms of the transparency, we offer you the dashboard. That I would say that is one of the winning edge for us as well, because as a customer, you know what is happening with the mapping. What is the percentage that you have achieved? What is the hotel catalog, and what kind of information that you're getting as a mapping solution? So, I mean, these are a few of the advantages. We have more benefits as well over the competition, but we can connect offline after the call just to showcase the product and answer your questions in more depth.
I think that Marvel has an input as well.
Yes, I do. I think so. the one word answer to that question is yes. But I do want to say that the distribution has changed drastically. The hotel's margins are further going to shrink as it happened in the airlines, right? So with that, what happens is as the rooms are getting sold across the world, which is a commodity, there's going to be a lot of new business models that will erupt out of this distribution trade that is happening, which will need some next-gen solutions, which will attract its own problems in terms of content, in terms of mapping, in terms of price parity, and so on and so forth. We'll see a lot of innovation happening. Now, the advantage that we had over some of the other existing solutions would be we started off with modern technologies when we started building this. We started building this, let's say, 5 years ago when we were sitting in a garage and started doing this, and now we made it big. But we started using modern technologies to solve this problem, and that gives a lot of edge over what existing companies do. And lastly, every solution that you've, personally, what I have seen, if you're trying to do it yourselves, if you're using a partner vendor, you're always looking at the data which is available to you. So what happens, let's say if you want to do mapping yourself, you'll say, all right, this is supplier one, supplier two, the data looks good, let's map it. With us, I'm just going to give this some of our secret sauce. What we do is we don't only just depend on the data that comes from these suppliers, because that's anyways not the best. We go to we have 125 outside data sources that we integrate, and we bring a lot of real-time information. We go to all search engines, we go to all social platforms, location engines. There's a bunch of information that we get, which is outside these travel suppliers conventionally. And that's how we go about offering a service, better content, better accuracy, better mapping. But yeah, that was the answer to that question. Sorry.
Thank you. So the next question is for Radu regarding the smart filtering.
We want to go through all of them as fast as possible, because a lot of people put super nice questions. So I want the chance to answer all of them. So I'll just run through them. Isn't a smart filter you build in the UI? This person is obviously very smart. Yes, smarter than a smart filter, if I can call it like that. Yes, some companies like ours had to build in the interface. When I say had to build, we don't want to do destination mapping. We don't want to do filters on our side, but we like the choice. We like the choice of using third-party vendors like Vervotech in order to get it from them and not do all the work on our side. So while we as a company, we had to build this technology, and we even built an artificial intelligence robot that is sweeping through all of the crazy facilities just to build our own smart filters. Any customer can choose to have ours and can choose to have the one from Vervo. But not everyone has this choice that we had, and we spent quite a bit of money in that area to have ours. So it's a very good question and the correct one. I'll jump to the next one. What does destination mapping mean? In short, every supplier that Marvel has, and you saw the nice number, you just have to remember this. Vervotech has mapped 3,075,000 unique hotels. All the rest is history. So imagine just the workload of mapping 3 million hotels. Destination mapping is something that is not talked about, unfortunately, because nobody knows it, and people hide beside it, and they find out about it after they have spent the money with the vendor. Imagine that every supplier were to meet RateHawk, Hotelbeds, Expedia. Everyone has their own geo3, and none of them are identical, and I mean none of them. You need a layer in between that is going to match the fact that Hotelbeds has 1 Paris and Expedia has 60 Parises, because they divide it by arrondissements, and there's 40-50 arrondissements, and they divide it very differently, as an example. Or Expedia does it by polygons, and someone else does it by different names. Or suppliers in Greece, they map out the Greek islands next to the closest city. Some map it by polygons, some map it by 50 kilometers or 20 kilometers from the city center, from the geographical city center. Unfortunately, there's no standard. And when we talk about no standard, this is when we talk about destination mapping. Horrible to non-existing destination mapping is what's causing huge sales losses. And I'll just describe, because some other people are asking about this. How can mapping save me money? Very simple. People come to your platform. Your platform is not great, to not use a bad word, is not great. And they search for JW Marquee Hotel in Dubai, and they don't find it, and they leave. because you have it, but they have to search for a particular part of Dubai to find it. Or they come to your platform and they search for a certain island in the Maldives. They don't search for mail, they search for a certain island in the Maldives. But your supplier hasn't done correct destination mapping for the Maldives. Nothing will come up, he will leave the platform. You lost 100% of that sale, and you will never know because you haven't done the booking to know your search to book ratio for that reservation. So in reality, you are losing even now sales. Whenever we do a destination mapping effort, for example, when we started to get customers in the US, we started to do a lot of destination mapping efforts to double down on our US destinations. All the bookings went up because the moment in which you do better destination mapping, you're going to have results, because all the suppliers, if you see how a Geo3 works for LA, for Los Angeles, I don't know, 30-40 million people in a city, it's absolutely crazy. It has tens of thousands of sub-destinations across all the suppliers, and that needs to get sorted out. And a lot of companies don't, and they just they serve you 2 or 3 or 4 suppliers, although you have 20 for LA. And I'll finish there. I'll let my colleagues also answer the next ones.
Yeah, there's Vinod actually answered a few more questions in written, if you can see them, but it's an important question here. How relevant is hotel mapping for directly contracted hotels or extranet hotels? This is for Radu and Marvel as well. Yeah.
From our side, from our side, because we have that, to be entirely honest, we need to understand what this person means by contracted or extended hotels. This is a very good question. In general, we have what we call third parties. Third parties are the Expedias, whatever the world to meets, and then we have your own contracted hotels. To be honest, our platform allows you to literally make a master hotel for each of these own properties and link them to the ones from the mapping supplier. So if you are using Vervotech for the mapping, you are going to have an ID. Let's say for JW Marquee, you have ID 123, and you're going to map your own contacted property to the ID 123. This is, I mean, you need, you should have mapping for your own properties, but exactly for what I'm going to tell you in a second. You need mapping for your own contacted properties because in our software, whenever we have a huge DMC in Dubai using our platform, we choose to hide all the suppliers that are selling the same hotels that my DMC has, like Atlantis, like Crown Plaza, like Iberotel Grand Emirates, whatever. Why? Because the customer wants to sell only his own rates. We couldn't hide those rates from 15 or 16 suppliers, global aggregators, unless mapping exists also for the contracted rates. So to answer more clearly your question, is mapping for your own property is paramount. What happens if you don't have mapping? Someone could ask. Very simple. You will have 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 properties. You will have one property from all the suppliers where you have all the Ratox and Expedias competing, and you will have another property with different pictures, a different address, different facilities, different description coming from your own inventory. This is not optimal, to say the least.
And just to that point, in case when you're building your database, you may also choose to ignore some properties because you're not able to map them. And what that means is you're not bidding for the competitiveness of that supplier. So let's say if you're working with 2 suppliers and you're not able to map 100% of their content with each other, and you're saying, all right, I'm inefficient to map these 100 properties. Now it could so happen that those 100 properties, you may not be calling the supplier because you haven't been able to map it, and you will miss out on the competitive end of those rates as well. So it's not only important to map, like Radu said, it's also important to map 100% of the content that is coming. At least identify, you can get closest to the 100% of mappings.
Okay, then we have one more question that's very interesting. I have an in-house tech team which does the mapping. What difference does it make to go with a third parties provider than to have your own mapping team? You've talked before, so please, Radu.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We don't know, Claudia, if the person joined.
Yeah, probably Radu would be the right person because he's running a tech house. So I would say, yeah,
it's fantastic that you have your own in-house team, and I hope you can get along with them to eternity and above. The problem that I have seen with our customers, and I've been doing this for 14 years, of course everyone wants to have their own. Of course everyone wants to do their own mapping and feel that they are in control. It's obvious. It's lovely. The question to you is, are you a mapping company? Are you a tech company? Are you a travel tech company? Are you fighting us and all of our competitors? Because in reality, if you really start digging, you are going to find out that you are actually a travel company. And if you are a travel company and you are not selling, I don't know, mapping services to the world and competing the likes of Vervotech and others, if you are a travel company, you should do. I mean, you shouldn't do anything. You can do whatever you want, but you should try to consider that you could outsource all the stuff that companies are doing already, that are not close to your internal heart, and you should focus on your bottom line. I will not use our Greek client example because I already said it, but let's think of Webbeds. Webbeds, for people that are not so familiar, there are three big dogs in the travel wholesaler space. Expedia is number one, Hotelbeds is number two. You can cross them depending on where you work. If you work for Hotelbeds is number one, Expedia is number two. Everyone has their own opinion, and Webbeds is number three. Now, imagine that a brand like Webbeds has decided, and we are very familiar with Webbeds because we used to power two of their largest brands in the group. They decided to use Vervo for their own mapping. So try to imagine that they had the expertise, definitely they had the money, they had the full tech understanding, all the teams, and they decided to outsource. Why? Because they are a travel wholesaler. They sell bookings, they take care of your bookings. Of course, you can do whatever you want. Of course, you can run your own travel tech company internally and feel that you are a project manager. But in reality, this is not your core. And when you see the type of fees that Vervo can bring to the table and offer, I will not say better, although it probably is better, but let's say the same level of mapping that you currently have to try to keep things decent. You can have, with far smaller costs, a third-party company that only does that. They will have more people than you. They will have more suppliers than you. They will have more customers than you. So you are your only customer. You only have one customer, you. They will have more customers than you. They will have more people than you, and they will map far faster and far more than what you are mapping. So while it used to be 14 years ago, 15 years ago when we started this, it used to be the norm. Right now, you could look into outsourcing these services that can be outsourceable. Before companies like Vervo existed, you couldn't outsource it. Nobody would have sold you. Expedia is not selling their own mapping to you. Booking.com is not selling. So you couldn't have bought it. With all the money in the world, you couldn't have bought it. But right now, you're working against the tide. And at some point, all the people in your mapping department who have a salary attached to them, they're going to start to weigh in on your bottom line. That's my own opinion, and this is what I've seen play out day in and day out. It's not about if you are going to move, it's about when you're going to move, because all the big brands are doing it. They're using specific companies for their mapping. And this is what I feel.
Okay, I have some input here as well. From what I've seen, it's better to focus on the travel that you do and let the people that know what to do technology to handle this. And it's even more cost effective than handling your own mapping. So regarding the next question, it's to Vervotech. Marvel, you can help out since we not actually answered a few more in writing. If you're curious, you can go on, answer the questions. What do you take as a primary key to confirm the property is duplicate or the same? Is it geolocation or something else? Irrespective of it's coming from suppliers or from your own inventory. Is the technology self-learning or automated? And how do you make sure it doesn't merge or remove genuinely different properties?
That's an excellent question.
Yeah, it's a lot of questions, but take it one by one.
That's a good one. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll try to keep it very brief. So yes, geocode is definitely one of the factors which goes into deciding whether it's the same property or not. But the problem here is that the suppliers don't give you the right geocode. Even if you use geocode as a factor to map to properties, they will have the geocode maybe 3 miles away. So while it is an important factor to map, you cannot depend on just the geocodes as an example. So if I was to say, how do we go about mapping? We have close to 179 checkpoints about mapping one property to another. Is it automated? I would say, yes, it's automated. And we also have a huge manual team. So we also have a lot of manual people that continue to work on these unmapped properties, which are top selling, and try to cover the ground from there as well. So it's a completely automated delivery process. It's a completely automated mapping process, but the manual teams are fixing the data that is coming, the garbage that comes from, these sources. We're fixing that and putting it back into the platform. So what you get is an end product, which is a truly mapped hotels. Well, the question also has that how do we ensure it is not duplicated or merged? There are many checkpoints to do that. So in today's, for example, we don't create a new hotel in our database unless there is a hotel that is opened newly, because we have 100% hotels in our database. So if we get a property which is not getting mapped with the database, it's a red flag for us, and we go about investigating that how it's not available. So today, when we add a new property, it actually goes through a manual person who checks it. All right, this is a new hotel which is opened up, is now coming from suppliers. Otherwise, everything in the database is already available. And Radu can add to that.
Yeah. I would like to go to the next question because we have some more questions to follow up, and we already passed the time, but I want to answer all of them. So while providing customer rating filters on the mapping portal, how do you make sure that these ratings are coming from genuine customers or not by robotic processes just to mislead the information? I think this could be a question for Vervotech, if I may add. Marvel or Vinod, which one would you like?
Sure, I can take that. So what we do when it comes to these filters is you have suppliers, and we discussed earlier in one of the questions, somebody would call it a swimming pool, somebody would call it a pool, and somebody would even say in-room swimming pool, right, to a swimming pool, because it's coming from multiple sources. So you need to standardize that, all right, this is a swimming pool within this property which is coming from multiple sources, and you need to map those amenities which may have different nomenclatures, because we are working in a global environment. Somebody in India may call it internet, and somebody in Spain may call it Wi-Fi. It means the same thing, right? So it's about standardizing those amenities that comes from multiple suppliers, and then making sure that what you're getting as an end product is something that can be used to deploy those smart filters. I hope that answers the question.
Great. And then I have a question that's for both parties. What are the top 5 suppliers booked through your solutions? It's both for WB and Vervotech. And do you have any preferred supplier who has better content quality and mapping friendly environment? Radu, can you please take it, and then I'm gonna pass it to Vinod or to Marwan.
Yeah.
Here I will just add, because I pulled up a report while everyone was talking. The logic, and this is a super nice question. This is posted by someone just to bring everyone up to speed. Whenever someone is trying to launch something and they're checking and seeing that the hotel picture is actually 200 by 150 pixels, or the content is abysmal or horrid, they know how to ask this question. So this person definitely has the experience of working with suppliers. I can tell you straight off the bat, this is not a startup person. The top 5 suppliers, or even the top 10 suppliers, but I'll focus on the 5 ones. Usually the best companies in terms of mapping friendliness are the ones that outsource, that are not aggregators. Okay, there are very few aggregators, and I don't want to name names, to not say, hey, why didn't you mention us, because we're quite close with all the aggregators. So what I would like to say is the general rule, to appease as many people as possible. The general rule is, if you work with a supplier that is famous for own inventory, the chances of their content being better and thus more mapping friendly are far higher. The moment in which you're using someone that has 60 suppliers in the back, while the company can have incredible pricing and the best possible relationship with you from an account management point of view, when you go into the nitty-gritty of the actual IT, you're going to see that a lot of the content is not the best, and this is where you definitely need a company like Verbo. And just to name the suppliers as well, for us, I would say that Expedia, Hotelbeds, Restel, Destination of the World, and Travco. All of these suppliers are super nice because they have a huge chunk of their inventory, own inventory, and they are nicer in terms of using them. Okay, obviously we also have Booking.com installed, but Booking.com is, let's say, very focused on safeguarding their content. But Booking.com is a fantastic supplier if you can get them. We have them installed, but it was it was quite the challenge to install them and to have them installed. But in reality, sorry, the other suppliers I mentioned are more famous and more widespread, and because they have the idea is to have a huge ratio. Companies that have a large ratio of their content coming from own inventory are going to be more qualitative than people that are outsourcing everything and buy from everyone. If you need something specific, radu.c@wbe.travel, send me an email and I'll tell you more about suppliers. Thank you.
Thank you. Vinod, I'm going to ask you, what are the top 5 suppliers that are booked, that are not booked, are mapped, and are your preferred, let's say, working with?
I'm agreeing to what Radu said. Anybody who's having their own direct contract would have a better quality content in any day compared to aggregating 60, 70, or 100 suppliers in the backend. For us to answer this question, so we primarily work with just the static data. Okay, so Radu probably would be the right person who would be the top selling supplier on the platform, because we are very much focused on the static content coming from the supplier. If you ask me who would be the best supplier in terms of the quality of the content, I would say probably Expedia, Hotelbeds, and Webbeds probably would be the good supplier in terms of the quality of the content offered by them. But in terms of the booking volume, probably Vervotech would not be the right person, because we do not control the rates and the availability. Yeah.
No, just more or less the same companies, as we all know. They're the big companies that trusted you to do the mapping, and we know how they work. So it's more than a pillar of trust for us. I have just one more question, and then we're gonna go, because it has been a pleasure. But and thank you all for waiting and staying with us. It's exciting here. So I would like to ask Vervotech in regards to language mapping, if you have any other languages that besides the English for the B2C, portal, and can the mapping solutions with hotels and rooms is included in this language of mapping too?
Right. So
Marvel?
yes. So the answer is our mapping content. Our content and our mappings are English only. However, we do download content in other languages from suppliers. So let's say if you have, for example, if you're getting content in Portuguese or Spanish or Hungarian from Hotelbeds, which you typically do, we will be able to download that and make it available to you. But out of the box, our solution is for English only. Now, going back to room mapping, we have our room mapping product is supports Spanish as well. So if you have Spanish data coming for rooms, we are able to map those as well for room mapping. But I would say with this webinar in mind, with this partnership in mind, having to try our hotel mapping product and see how it brings value and improves conversion and stickiness on your website would be a great idea to start. And then there are a bunch of more things that we do as partners, and those are areas to collaborate on.
Super. One more question stepped in. So while making a single content property or room, do you mix and match content, like pictures from one, text from another, and so on? Or how is it that you proceed?
Well, so yes and no, right? It's a very tricky question. We have to keep in mind that, like Radu was saying, suppliers are very conservative about the content that they're giving away. Practically, if you ask me, you cannot show a content from a supplier if you're not showing the rate from that supplier. This is the right thing to do, not to show the content from a supplier where you're not showing the rate. But do people do that? I would leave it to that. So we do mix and match of content, keeping in mind that we are in the boundaries of compliance. We're not breaching any contracts, etc. So there are much smarter ways to ensure rich content on your websites. And to learn more, you can reach out to us, or there's a lot of information on our website as well.
Okay. So that being said, I think we've covered all the questions. There were a lot. Thank you all for getting engaged in the topics. And It has been a pleasure. We're going to share afterwards the recording as promised. And if you have any other questions, please drop us an email whenever you can. And you can use this, just 1 second. I just want to share the contacts with you. So these are the contacts where you can find WB and Vervotech. These are the emails. Drop us an email, send more questions, send your feedback about the webinar, and so on. Thank you all for joining. Have a great day. Thank you, Marvel, Radu, Vinod. It has been very insightful. Have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks a lot, Claudia.
Thank
Thanks
you,
everyone.
everyone, for joining us. Thank you. Have a great day. Take care.
Cheers.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.